Good morning, ladies and gents. Welcome back to Hightop Sports. We got Mr. Jake CRAIN from CRAIN & Company here today. And I told you on Monday's show, if you guys were there, I said it's important for us to go outside of the realm a little bit. As Florida fans, we bicker back and forth on our thoughts and opinions, and we may be right or wrong, but sometimes you get too invested into and too involved that you can't have a clear picture. So I was like, I got to step back. Go talk to the man, Jake. He'll bring us the thunder. He's dealing with his own situation at Auburn right now, so they're in a weird situation with their head coach, Mr. Hugh. I don't know how you feel about Hugh. We can talk about that a little bit, but I want to get your perspective on things. Because after the Georgia game, it's reopened a new can of worms. The team was bought in. The defense looks good. Lagway throws for a 45-yard touchdown. We're all in joy. Then he goes down, and we have this. The morale victories are going everywhere because we played good, but we still lost. What are your thoughts on all of these from kind of just that outside perspective on Napier and the whole Florida football situation?
Well, I mean, first off, I don't think he's lost the team. You could tell that by last week. I think some of that had to do with, DJ Lagway coming in, and you get that surge of, even though Mertz is hurt, and I hated to see that for Graham, you kind of get that, death rattle, as they call it, that last breath of air in the season. And now that he's out, it's going to be tough moving forward. I mean, you look at that schedule. We talked about it all during the offseason. So, I mean, if you're a Florida fan, to me, if you want to look at the most rational way, and it's tough to know this, it's if you're going to decide to move on from Billy Napier, it comes down to two things to me. One, what does the market bear? In the coaching market, who can you get, right? Can you get the best guy that you could possibly get, whether it was this year, whether it was next year, whether it was 2 years down the road? Because if the season ends like I think it's going to end, most likely Billy Napier is gone, right? Now, I know Florida State is really, really bad, which that's helped out Billy. And I don't know Scott personally. I know he wants Napier to do well. But at some point, you got to put the guy on the raft and push him down the river. But the question is when, right? Because it's almost to me like if you feel like you can't get the best guy this year, or there's not a guy out there that you think is a home run hire, do you say, you know what, we have basically the same schedule, but it's flipped next year. We have a young quarterback in DJ Lagway, and I know he may come back. We'll see how that goes. Do we want to bring in another guy, right? Let everybody come in here and raid our roster, through the transfer portal, have to blow up the house and build the foundation again from scratch with a brand new guy with a tough schedule in year one that may get him off to a rough start. I don't know what's exactly out there in the market. I'm not able to talk to Signetti. I'm not able to talk to Lane Kiffin and them right now. So if you're a Florida fan, the question is when to say when, because I don't think it's getting any better this year. And in all, if we're going to go back to what history says with Billy Napier, it hasn't been great. And there's been a lot of similar mistakes, even the Georgia game. You're in it, chance to kick a field goal, to go up. Not only do you not get the field goal off, right? You snap it behind the holder, and it ends up in Georgia territory and end up beating you by 14. So it just seems that Murphy's Law is in great effect with Billy Napier. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong, whether it's self-enforced or just from the football gods. So it comes down to what the market will bear. Like, would you rather go to Myrtle Beach this year or save up money and go to Italy in 2 years? That's the question you got to ask yourself.
That's perfectly said. And I said it last night. I go, look, we as Florida fans, we sit around and we put our list together, right? Delane, Lincoln was on that list. I think he's fallen off that list very quickly. Franklin, Ryan Day, Sangetti has been thrown around. And I love the list. It's easy to make a Christmas list before Christmas gets here, right? And feel good about it. But in reality, have you ever got everything on the list, right? Has Florida ever had a big splash hire? I mean, Dan Mullen was technically, I would say, the biggest splashiest hire that Florida has had. And my question for Gator fans last night was, what's the difference now? There's obviously a massive turmoil between the UAA and the boosters. There's no president involved. That's where we're kind of going. And again, I'm not a component of pro Billy or keeping Billy. There's things I like. There's things that I don't like. But like you just said, the Myrtle Beach example is perfect because do you wait a little bit and see how things open up?
Yeah, well, again, I say the same thing about the transfer portal. It's like the stock market. Like, you can only get out of the stock market what's available in the stock market to get out of it, right? So, like, you can't just go wish somebody, into, wanting to coach for Florida. Now, do I think that if they do get rid of Billy, Would they have credibility problems if they brought a group of 5 guy over? Probably. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think you go get the best guy, whether he's in the group of 5 or power 5. But that is, we are dealing with human beings. It's just, to me, I'm looking around and I'm saying, okay, who is available? Urban Meyer's, that's not going to happen, right?
Yep.
Nick Saban, that's not going to happen. Like John Gruden, I don't think that's going to happen. And the way I view Florida is it's the top of the top, right? You can go after the 10 in the bar, right? You did show up in a Lambo. Your dad invented Twizzlers. You're rich. You're good looking, right? It's a Bruce Wayne situation, but still, that person the right person has to be there. So if you're Scott Strickland, if you're looking around and what the market's bearing and you're saying, all right, well, I don't think we can get the top of the top this year with the schedule we have next year, with Lagway coming back, with this roster and watching the guys continue to fight, is it better to just bite the Billy bullet for another year? And who knows? Maybe he Dabo Sweeney's this thing. Maybe he figures it out. The odds aren't super high, but it's Florida. I mean, if you give me the best ingredients enough times, you give me great ingredients to make a cake, and you give me 4 shakes at it, one of those times I'm going to make you a ballin' ass cake. Like, so maybe all it takes is for him to find out the recipe to make one badass cake, and then here goes Billy. So it's, it goes back to I had a 3rd grade teacher. He used to be our 4th grade teacher. I can't remember. I didn't do a lot of listening those days. I think it's because I ate all those paint chips. He used to make us do pros and cons lists.
Oh, boys, listen here. I don't know. Got me a slick pair this past weekend. Was I went up in there? I was feeling. I was a little boozy. Probably not the best thing when you want to go buy an expensive pair of boots, but they got me right where they wanted me. You know what I'm saying? The in-store experience is incredible. I'm trying to talk to them now to where we can use our code in store because the experience is so worth it that you have to go in. You need to go in, get the free booze they hand you. Literally, it smells incredible in there. Try these boots on. I got a pair of ostrich boots. I am beyond ecstatic to wear these bad boys and take care of them. You also can brand them with like 904. They could have put like a little gator. I got a bucking bull on mine on the back of it. Like, you can do whatever you want with it. They replace the sole if something happens to the sole for like 150 bucks. That is phenomenal handcrafted boots. You need yourself a good pair of boots, boys. I'm telling you right now, if you don't have it, you've been thinking about it, this is your time to go get it. Go check out, again, to get the discount, go to tecovas.com/Hightop. You get 10% when you sign up for emails and texts. That's how you get the discount. I'm trying to get the code so you can use it in stores. Just, Mike Tecovas, you're killing me. I'm sending people your way. Tell them to put your toes west. Let's make it work. Go check it out, though. Get yourself a nice pair of boots for Christmas. Look good at the Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, whatever it may be. Slap on a pair of sexy old boots and look good for the old lady. And if your old lady wants some, there's some chicks in there trying on some boots too. She was actually in my photo that I posted on Twitter. People were trying to get at her. I'm like, guys, I'm just trying on a pair of boots. Yeah.
Right. So if you're Scott Strickland and you're the Florida people, you just got to make a pros and cons list, man. Like, it is what it is. And at this point, I don't have any inside information on Lane Kiffin or Signetti or some of these other guys. I mean, you look around at the coordinators. I mean, Bobby Petrino, look, personality fits, I think. That isn't a, hooked up with the volleyball coach joke. It's just I think he's arrogant, and I think you need to be arrogant to have success and coach at Florida. It's just what the market will bear, and I don't know that right now.
Yeah, look, the Lane stuff obviously was hot for a little bit. That seemed to have quieted down a little bit. Paul Feinbaum continues to push that narrative that Florida, some sources inside of Florida want him. I think everybody wants a sexy hire until it's ready to sign the paperwork and do the actual work. I do want to ask your thoughts and opinions on this. Again, being an Auburn fan, and this is where, I've told you before, my concern with Auburn's success this year was their recruiting class hasn't been the sexiest. Last year they did very well. Prior to that, though, a little lackluster. This recruiting class for Florida is sitting at 50 on 247, 30 on 3, and looking to make more steps going backward than going forward. And so you've got Florida fans like, some people say, who cares? Go to the portal, which we'll get into. But a lot of fans, like, that's a big concern because this is what Napier was his big selling point. I can recruit. First presser on here. If you don't have a top 5 recruiting class at Florida, what are you even doing here? Well, yeah. Billy, top 30 isn't close to top 10.
Yeah, that's like the reverse Hugh Freeze right now. I mean, Auburn couldn't win a spring game if they tried, but you look at the recruiting class, and I mean, it's still holding together. Like, yeah. the recruits are like, look, I know these older guys suck at Auburn, which means I'm going to come in there and play. you know, what's that saying on Animal House? Fat, drunk, and stupid's a bad way to go through life. You can't be struggling on the field and in recruiting. All right. You can't be blind and we give you a gun. That's just not how that works.
Yeah.
Like it just if Florida had a top 3 recruiting class right now, that's something you could point to and say, look, the on the field stuff's a problem, but help is coming. And Billy's been there longer than Hugh has. So like the on the field stuff is beginning to be a problem as well. And you're at Florida. Like recruiting at Florida is not hard. It's like being a hot girl. Like it's easier. Just
Yeah.
easier. It's easier to do stuff. I mean, if we're gonna be honest,
Yeah.
it's it's the ugly ones that gotta be funny, and be good at math and stuff. Like it just part of life. I mean, we can laugh about it, but I mean, I've never seen a hot chick get turned down for a job, if we're gonna be honest. So
Yeah.
like it just if you can't recruit at Florida, you better. If you can't recruit at Florida, which something's wrong with you, or just hire great recruiters, then you're on the field stuff. You better be a witch. I mean, you better be Doctor Strange out there when it comes to getting the most out of your guys and being able to draw it up.
And look, I think that's where a lot of the Florida fans are, is that he is farthest thing from a witch on the football field, although the defense has found a little bit of drive and hope there at his last couple of games. And now you haven't crushed it. You're not utilizing your 10 technique that Florida brings to you're not even going out to the bars for there to be an option. So although you just said, hey, what is the stock showing you, the stock market and coaching staff, a lot of people are going, well, what's the point of not just canceling the inevitable, what happens next year, right? Because we're not moving anywhere, so we're just going to be kind of mediocre for 2 years. That's going to lose a lot of that fan base over the next 2 years. Now, look, Florida's not going to go anywhere, but I think that's the big concern.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to piss the fan base off, but I don't think Florida's fan base will ever, like totally, leave them. The problem is, you want momentum. That's what you want. You want to keep creating that momentum and building that momentum. And in a place like Florida, y'all can get white hot. Like y'all don't just get hot. Y'all can get super hot just because the swag that's there. We know the brand. When Florida's cool, they're super cool. So to me, again, it's. I would rather go, if the market allows it, go get the best guy and give him more time. Maybe that, this year coming up, maybe you're going to struggle, but give him more time to set the culture, to set the foundation, right? To get out on the road, to form these relationships with these recruits that aren't even in next year's class, but they're 2 to 3 years down the road. So to me, if the house is on fire, like, you've got to put the fire out. You can't just sit in the house and slowly die of smoke inhalation before the fire gets you. But if the house isn't on fire yet, all right, if you just left a couple candles burning, you're starting to get worried, all right, at the end of the year, which I don't know where Strickland's at, then I think you wait for the house to officially catch on fire. And then when it does, you get everybody out and you fix it.
If you're Scott Strickland, I'm giving you the reins, Jake, before we go.
Oh, my hair is going nuts.
It's got a mind of its own this morning. What do you do? Do you fire Billy? Do you let it ride? Or do you still need to see how this season goes? You're in charge here. You got all the reins. You want to win football games. Not the what's right, what's wrong, what's market. You got all the choices here. What are you doing?
All right, well, the first thing I'm doing is tell my dogs to shut up. Second thing I'm doing is, so here's where I'm at with it. Let's just go off the premise of there's somebody out there that is very interested in the job that I think is top market type of guy. Like a guy that if it was this year or next year that I would go get. The problem is the timeline, right? If it's Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss makes the playoff and they're making a run, like he isn't ducking out of Ole Miss for a while, like past signing day, right? Even eating into the transfer portal. So can I take the risk of waiting that long to get that guy? What if he turns me down? What if at the end he goes, you know what? My family just loves it here in Oxford, right? I know it's late January. I know the real, signing period's done, right? You look at the transfer portal, that window's about to close. So it's a gamble. It's a risk. To me, I think you probably hold on a year. That's what I think. I think you hold on a year or for the end of this year and then see where the chips fall after. Because I think if you fire him right now and then none of those top guys work out that you want, then you're going to have to make a quick hire of somebody that may not be to the level that you thought, whether that be a coordinator or whatever. And I think that could spell trouble.
Sometimes moving too quick isn't always the answer. And I always use the analogy when you're cleaning a room, it's got to get messy before it gets clean. And it's messy. And I think you might have to allow it to get a little messier. When you see the Bama situation with Saban, it was like, they do it perfectly, right? And they've got they kind of had all their choices. They could do whatever they wanted because all the nonsense was closing out. With the changes of the signing day and the transfer portal, you feel like you can't make those kind of moves. But Bama did it last year. Unfortunately, Bama rolled into, they closed out last year with a top 3 recruiting class. So and it's Bama, right? So they've got a little more things to work with. But Florida, in a way, needs to find that opportunity because right now I feel like we're playing roulette, right? We have to move perfectly if we want this to happen right now. And I understand all of us want to win right now. But like you just said, there could be some value in waiting. One, the fourth shake of the bacon the cake, Billy figures it out. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. He's figured it out. Or two, that the market turns a little bit better going into next year. The interest rates get a little better going into next year.
Very true. And again, look, if the right opportunity does present itself, then you got to jump on it. If you're Scott Strickland, then I think that decision's been made. Like, all right, hey, if somebody calls me, if Lane Kiffin calls me next week, he's like, listen, I'm in this bad boy. I want to jump in the boat. I want to be at Florida. Here, let's talk with my agent, this, that, and the other. Then I think you jump on it because the room is somewhat messy right now, but it's not messy enough where you've got to go out there and make a desperate pitch and just start, holding out your hand for coins to anybody that's going to walk by. For the love of God, you're Florida. But again, there is an art to it. It's like Lil Wayne said, real G's move in silence like lasagna. There's a way this needs to come about. You don't want to force this. How do you get the girl to like you even more? You make it seem like you really don't like her that much.
As you were saying, I go, yeah, make it seem like it's make it seem we don't need you. Make it seem like Florida's
look, oh, you want to hang out this weekend? Hold on, I got some stuff going on, like the boys, we got a plan. I'll if something opens up, I'll give you a shout.
I love it. Jake, pleasure as always. It's always great to get your insight. I think it's good to go outside your box, press that a little bit, see what other people are saying. I think some Florida fans are going to, they're not going to agree. So they're ready to burn it all down and start over as it is. But look, you don't have that emotional connection to it, nor do you care if there's success, nor is not success. I know people are always an Auburn fan. He doesn't, the joke because Georgia fans and Tennessee fans like, keep Billy. We love Billy. Like this isn't the same type of scenario here.
Dude, I coached Division I for 10 years. Auburn hadn't sent me a check yet. Like it's hard to. It's once you've seen how the sausage is made, it's like why people that work at McDonald's probably don't eat McDonald's a lot. Like I promise you, my wife's 8 months pregnant. I got, we do a sports show and I hope Auburn does good. Believe me. I do, but by no means am I as emotionally attached as I was in high school. I mean, once you see how it goes down, I mean, hell, we played Auburn. And I wanted to beat their ass. So, no, it's, I'm just going to tell you what I think because I've been there.
What he says, he's a Gator. He's a closet Gator. Go Gators from Jay Crane there. Tell him what they can give.
I'm not in the closet about anything.
Tell him where they can give you a fine, Jake.
All right, buddy.
Tell them where they can find you, though.
Oh, yeah. It's CRAIN Company. Come on over. CRAIN Company. It's me, former Michigan quarterback David Cone. Not the pitcher. Like he would say, he'd never play for the Mets. And then my brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, Blaine Crane, played with Austin Eckler out there. But yeah, man, come check us out. We're live 2 to 3:30 p.m. Central. No live calls this week. It's election week. So we're the sports show for a Daily Wire, but we don't get political. So the studio is just a madhouse right now because who the hell knows when this thing's going to end. But no, man, come hang out with us. It's a good time.
I love it. Thank you, Jake. Boys and girls, smash like button, subscribe.
See ya.
We'll see you.